You're listening to Convenience Matters, brought to you by NACS. Whether it's for food, fuel, drinks, or snacks, about half of the U.S. population shops at a convenience store every day. We'll talk about what we see at stores and what the future may hold for our industry.
Vision and strategy are critical to growing a business, but it can't happen without execution. Today we're going to talk with two rock stars of convenience and learn how they implement change. And we're going to do it live at the NACS show. Welcome to Convenience Matters. I'm Carolyn Schnare with NACS.
And I'm Jeff Lenard with NACS.
Well, we're at the NACS show. Tell me you're out there. Give me a cheer. Louder than that. There we go. Well, today we're joined part one. Make sure you take a listen to that. We're joined by part two with Chuck Maggalet, Chief Adventure Guide of Maverick. Thank you for being here. And Tanner Krause, President of Come and Go.
Thanks for having me.
And today we're talking with our rock stars of convenience. And there's another episode out there that we talked about leading the vision. Today we're going to talk about executing the vision. How do you get where you want to go after you've decided where that path's going to lead you? So thank you both for joining us, and welcome to our podcast.
Thanks.
So we want to talk about the execution. You guys have all sat around on your notebooks. You've drawn the band logo 1,000 times. You've put together, you have a vision. You know what your songs want to be like.
Yeah, they have theme songs.
Theme songs?
Beyonce, and we've got Bruce Springsteen here, which we covered in the previous episode, so make sure you listen to that.
And then it comes down to the band. How do you get the right members of the band? And thinking about, you have the vision, how do you execute it? Now, the band is big. The band is thousands of associates. So we'll start with you, Tanner. How do you know you have the right bandmates to execute the vision, the Rockstar vision?
That's a great question. Whether you're building a band or a team or a company, the most important thing is diversity of thought. You have to have people that approach things from different perspectives, backgrounds, and ultimately will get you places that you wouldn't have gotten if you only had one style of thinker in the room. And so when we hire, we try to make it more of a team decision to say, okay, what does this team need to be better? And not who's the best person for this specific opening that we have, but we look at it more broadly. So if you're building a basketball team and you don't go out and get 5 shooting guards, right? Because you'll struggle rebounding. And so when you're building a team in a Come and Go store or in our store support center, you say, okay, how do we balance out who we've got on this team to make sure that we're bringing ideas from diverse perspectives in order to unlock new potential?
And to use the Rockstar or the rock band version, it'd be like, we can't have 2 drummers, well, maybe the Allman Brothers or something, but we need more cowbell.
Yes.
So this guy's a great drummer, but we need cowbell, and that person can really do that.
Absolutely, yes. I always look for cowbell on the resume.
Cowbell? What kind of music do you listen to?
Don't get me started. How about you, Chuck, in building the team?
So I think it's a great question also. I think it's always a question of looking for the right skills, experience, ideas, but those are just qualifiers to get them into the consideration set for the role that you need to fill. And I really think beyond that, it's making sure you're finding a really good fit for the team, right? When we look at and I'd like to quote this, I really ought to get it right, 2004-2005 NBA Finals, right? It was the Detroit Pistons who had a whole crap ton of really largely unknown players versus the LA Lakers, who had all the biggest names and all the biggest egos. And at the end of the day, I think in 5 games, the Pistons had destroyed the Lakers. And it was all about a great team players playing great together. And I think that's the most important thing, is you get that fit. Because if you can really understand the role that every person needs to play on the team, the role that the goals for that team become much more attainable if you can make sure that they're all working really, really well together. And I think ego is probably one of the more dangerous facets of an individual's approach that can really endanger the effectiveness of an entire team.
Now, staying on that team, your associate or employees all have unique, well, maybe not all, but have unique titles. That's fun. Like your chief adventure guide.
Yes.
Now, how did that come about? And do people love that?
I don't know. Do people love that? I think it's really important that you have brand consistent, how you talk about yourselves. I think it's also really important to try to get away from wonky corporate talk, right? So I think that it really creates a certain amount of fun and alignment and engagement with people. So yeah, I love being the chief adventure guide. I love that we have adventure guides in our stores. And I think that it's an effective way to reinforce what you're trying to accomplish through your brand and what your offering is for your customers.
Do they come up with their own titles? Like when they get their job, you're like, you're going to be accounting, but I want you to...
But I'll also share, right? Sometimes it leads to a certain level of confusion, right? And so I think you're always looking for a balance.
If I can jump in,
yeah.
I love it because it's uniquely Maverick. And you guys do a great job of having your brand elements go through almost every aspect of your business. And your adventure is next stop, and you're the chief adventure guide, and it's you. And so I think when you're building your culture, you can't try to go out and copy what somebody else is doing, even if it's a really good company. If my title were chief adventure guide, it wouldn't work at Come and Go. And so you have to say, okay, who are we, and then what makes sense for us, and let's make that the best way possible, versus just going and trying to get inspiration and mimicking other best practices.
And staying with that, the Pistons, the bad boys, you don't want to have everybody on the team just like brawling and things like that. They did it very well. And it was a very much of a us against the world mentality, which is one way to do leadership, but it's not always the right way. It can work sometimes, and then when you're champions, it doesn't work as well. So how do you get everybody to focus? And we'll start with you, Chuck. How do you get them all to focus and to know that this is how we're going out? This is adventure, and it's always adventure.
So that's a great question. I think it's always got to be intentional, that you know what you stand for. You're going to make sure that you're out there. But you're also making sure that you're setting concrete communications about what you're doing and how you're doing it, right? So while we can throw cool adventure names out there and have stores that feel like you're out in the wilderness, and that's what we love about what we offer to our customers, you also have to be really clear, right? So we know that the things we have to be good at or great at are got to be a great place to work, got to be a great operator for our customers, and need to be a great growth company. And we really need to make sure that our employees, from the executive level right down to where the really important stuff happens, in those moments of truth in front of our customers every day, that they know what we're shooting for, what's important, when we're going to accomplish things, and then we accomplish those things. So it's the setting the goals, making sure people understand the difference between current operating goals versus longer term project sorts of goals. But as long as everybody knows where you're going and you're really frequently reinforcing what's most important and how you're going to get there, I think you radically increase the likelihood that you're going to get there.
And Tanner, how do you keep the focus?
Well, you have to start by limiting the number of things you focus on. And in retail, you can measure so many different things. And it's easy to have a proliferation of metrics on any sort of scorecard or report. And you dilute the importance and the time you can spend on focusing on what really matters. And so for us, we've worked really hard over the last 5 years to reduce and to minimize what's on our scorecards, what's on our key metric reports, so that we can just really dial in and focus and spend our time on what truly moves the dial for our people and our customers.
So as you said, and that leads us to my next question about change. So you had to make that change because some people have probably been using those scorecards for years. How do you lead that change? How do you get everybody on board with what's changing, with what's something different, something you come in different with a new leadership style? How do you lead that?
Well, it's challenging, and especially I'm coming in and I'm amongst the youngest people on our leadership team. I am the youngest on the leadership team, and trying to drive change is a challenge. And first I have to respect why things are the way that they are, and I have to seek to understand how did we get to this scorecard, or whatever the example is, right? I can't come in flippantly and say, we got to blow this up. And so how did we get here? Why is it important to track these things? And then from there, start to build a case for, what are we really trying to accomplish? And then how can we make edits to what we've worked on for decades in order to prepare us for the future. And so it's a journey. It takes a leap of faith. It takes confidence, and you don't always get it right. And so you have to be willing to say, along that journey, when you've gotten it wrong, and let's go back and try again.
That's a perfect transition, because I was just thinking, do you ever fail? Now, I'll use that way, but how do you define failure? Do you define it as a learning experience? Do you define it as we messed up? Are other people allowed to make that call? How do you look at failure? Because when you change, there are times, and I'll start with you, Tanner, there are times where it just doesn't work. How do you collectively do that? And particularly leading culture, because if things start to go downhill, you want to avoid the grousing where it's like, I can't believe the department's leading this. It's obviously failing. And keep everybody on the same page. Know that you're all in this together. End it positively. So how does that process happen?
Well, a few things there. It's a good question. First, you have to understand, have we failed, or are we just experiencing short-term negative reaction to what's ultimately a positive decision? Because if you see your kind of traditional change curve, things tend to get worse before they get better. And so it takes a sense to understand, are we going to rebound out of this change? And are we just in kind of the dark side of the night, and we will, should I say dark side of the moon with the Rockstar theme, and we'll turn the corner and things will get brighter? Or did we truly make a mistake? And so to first understand that, you have to be close to who the change is affecting most closely. And usually that's our associates in our stores. So personally, we have 400 stores. My goal this year is to get into 200 of our 400 stores. And so I try to spend that time talking about the major initiatives inside of Come and Go to say what's working and what's not working, and take that feedback back into our store support center to decide things. So beyond that, once you understand, okay, was it a failure, was it not a failure? Failure is an opportunity. If you think about, you asked your question, how do we approach failure? How do we look at failure? That's an opportunity. You've learned something, right? Something didn't work. Okay, so slow down and look at it, and let's pause it to why this wasn't effective, or why the desired outcome was not reached. And then the next time you go back out, you're smarter.
And Chuck, any failures in your life?
A ton of failures. Because if you're not failing, you're not working hard enough. If you're in skiing, right, they say if you don't fall, you're not learning to really push yourself in skiing. And so I think it's always fine to say, no, we failed, we missed. It was, but it's always a critical factor of that, or a critical opportunity there, is to learn from it, as Tanner really said. And I think you always have to be careful when you when you launch change initiatives, right, to make sure that you're keeping a keen eye out for unintended consequences, because inevitably somebody will come up with the best idea, and then somewhere else in the organization, or many other parts of the organization, it will mandate a certain type of decision that will start being made somewhere that clearly was not part of what was intended. So, for example, prior to our buying Maverick, the goal that was established for Maverick was 300 stores. Maverick was going to get to 300 stores. We got there, but we got there really at the expense of reinvesting in our business, right? We had a bias of 95% of our CapEx dollars went into building new stores. And so we had an 8-year dearth of reinvesting in our older stores, which really, it got us to that one goal of Maverick 300 at the expense of really delivering on our brand promise at least 100 of our other stores. So I think it's always being, you're never going to get it exactly right. You're going to get it within a certain range, and it's being practical about changing course as you need to, and not being shy to recognize a failure, call it what it is, figure out how to fix it, and then move on.
And Carolyn, we have the advantage. We never have failures because there's one phrase. We're going to fix it in post.
That's
it's
true.
an audio video term, so
That's true. No, and we're perfect. No, I'm just kidding. All right. One of my next questions is switching gears a little bit. We often talk about how the C in C store, and it's branded everywhere on all of our shirts, on our signs behind us. The C in C store doesn't just stand for convenience; it stands for community. And everybody has a story to tell. You're doing something out there good with your community. Community stores are part of the fabric of their community. And I know that each of your companies has gives back in some way or another. Chuck, I'm going to start with you. What are some of the community aspects of your business that you're most proud of?
Well, I mean, clearly we try to engage in local communities in which we operate, working with local high schools and being a part of the community. But really, one of the most important things for us is really around education and contributing to the education of our kids. I feel that my education and growth really has led me to where I am today. And so at our parent company level, it really is about making scholarship gifts and really encouraging education as one of the biggest opportunities to lift people.
That's awesome. And Tanner?
Yeah, this is something we take a lot of pride in at Come and Go. For as long as Come and Go has been in business, we've donated 10% of our pre-tax income to charitable causes. And as we've grown, we've had the benefit of increasing the impact that we make in our communities. And so we understand that we wouldn't be who we are today. We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the community support and those customers that love the Come and Go brand and come in and choose us every single day. So we view it as really a responsibility to give back and to help grow. And corporate social responsibility is a really big deal inside our business. And similar to Maverick, Come and Go has a parent company. It's called Krause Group. And one of the main pillars of functioning as a Krause Group business is to be a good corporate citizen. And so we say at Come and Go, and really at Krause Group as well, the best socially responsible thing for a corporation to do is to first take care of its own associates. And so we've continued to invest, similarly with tuition programs, as well as a number of things that we've done in the last several years especially. We've gotten some nice press around some of the investments that we've made, converting, we'll approach 80% of our associates will be full-time associates. And if you work in a Come and Go store, you will have the exact same benefits package as the president of the brand, save for I have a little bit more PTO, but we will have the same medical insurance, we'll have the same paternity leave, we'll have the same 401k, we'll have the same tuition reimbursement, we'll have the same number of financial wellness benefits, and that takes investment. But if we're really going to truly take care of our communities, we want to take care of our people first.
And that's awesome. I'm sure they completely appreciate that. And speaking of taking care of your communities, and later today at the NACS show, which is again where we are, where we're recording, I've heard we're gonna tease some people with an announcement that you're going to be making there.
Should I make it now?
You can go for it.
Break some news, man.
All right,
Break
so Come and Go is here at NACS to announce a partnership with the Partnership for Healthy America. It's a great national organization. It's one that we believe in its cause. We believe in using our 400 stores to help promote health in the Midwest, which is largely where we operate. And one of the things that really made this a exciting partnership, both for PHA and for Come and Go, is we have a pretty robust food rescue program at the Come and Go stores. So we have 400 stores, and today I believe the number is 279 of our 400 stores participate in food rescue, which is where we donate high quality food to local food shelters and food bank organizations across our communities. It's been a fantastic cause. Our communities love it. Our associates feel a lot better about knowing that food, which is quality and edible food, is going to someone who needs it and not going into the trash can. And it's a little bit of extra work on our store associates, but it's one of those things that they get excited about participating in because they recognize the cause. And when that person from the church or the shelter shows up at the back door twice a week and grabs that and says thank you, they mean it. And we're excited to be just a partner with PHA and to continue to grow our food rescue program into as many of our stores as possible. And over the last 2 years, this program, we've donated more than 1 million meals to people in our communities, which is an incredible impact and something that I'm very proud of as associate of Come and Go.
That's
Congratulations.
awesome. I applaud that, and don't forget, if you guys want there you go. Our audience also applauds that.
Carolyn, I just figured out my tweet of the month. I can write now. So breaking news.
The tweet of the year. I don't know. You haven't been on there in a while.
So kind of wrapping things up, we've talked to the Rockstars at Convenience, and you each have, you lead companies that have been ingrained in the community for an awful long time. You're established, you have a couple hundred stores. we also have people that are listening that may have 5 stores or 1 store or even thinking about a store. What kind of advice would you give thinking about all of those stores? What's one good piece of advice, and I'll start with you, Chuck, that you might each offer to anybody, regardless of how long they've been around, how big they are? What is the one guiding piece of advice?
I think you'll always go well if you pick the right people and focus them on your customers. And if you pick the right people, get them focused on your customers, you're 80% of the way there to creating a model and morphing it over time to be successful.
Great answer. Invest in your people. Take care of them. They're ultimately the ones that take care of you and take care of your customer. And you have to make sure that you've got associates who feel respected, who are well taken care of, and have what they need in life to be stable and be successful. And so you can't go wrong in continuing to invest in your people.
So I have a follow-up to that since we talked about Rockstars of convenience. We asked in our last podcast, what band would your company be? I want to turn that around a little bit. What rock star do you think should open a convenience store? And you'd say, I'd buy something from them. So I see you pondering a little bit more there, Tanner. So I'll put you on the hot spot first. What rock star should open a convenience store, and how would they be successful?
Well, if they open a store, open it on the coasts where there's no come and goes, because I worry about some brand impact. But I think if you could have a rock star go out and open a come and go, I would go for Schnare. As I think that would be a pretty cool place to shop. I like the music. I like the elements. It'd be full of color and personality. And I would absolutely go into a Schnare retail store.
You've seen my Twitter feed and how I dress up as a Schnare impersonator, haven't you?
Yes, I've gone through all 140 tweets, and there's some real gems in there, Jeff.
How about you, Chuck?
I'm going to have to still stick with Springsteen because he's going to come in with high energy. It's a born to run offer, right? We got customers on the move. They got to get in, get out. They want a great experience. And I think the Springsteen tells it best.
Has he trademarked that? Can you put that out as your new, instead of adventurous first stop, it's born to run?
There, you know what? We're working on it.
Okay.
What about you, Jeff? Put you on the spot.
I don't.
Just watch Twitter. He'll announce it there later.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll jump on Facebook or something.
It's easier asking questions. How about you?
Oh, well, all right. Well, thank you for... no, really, I have no idea. All right. Anyway, well, it's been great. This has been a real fun, both episodes that we've been here at the NACS show. And I think we walked away with some really cool stuff, including some breaking news. So I really appreciate you both being with us today. And thank you for listening to Convenience Matters.
Convenience Matters is brought to you by NACS and produced in partnership with Human Factor. For more information, visit convenience.org.